Senator Chris Coons, a member of the Judiciary Committee. Could be a busy Thursday for you, sir.
Yes, it could, Katie. It's a very consequential day. The Judiciary Committee will most likely be hearing from Dr. Ford, from Christine Blasey Ford, and I suspect all of us will be casting glances at our phones to see whether there's any news from the White House meeting between Rod Rosenstein and President Trump.
Let me play devil's advocate with you for a second. There's a bombshell report in the New York Times that says Rod Rosenstein considered, even sarcastically, wearing a wire to record the President of the United States and discuss the possibility of using the 25th Amendment to oust him. Doesn't that give the President just cause to fire him?
Well, Katie, what I'm concerned about is two things here. First, Rod Rosenstein would certainly not be the first senior administration official to muse about whether or not the president really is fit to serve. If Bob Woodward's book, Fear, teaches us anything, it's that this seasoned senior journalist was able to find dozens of members of the administration willing to share episodes, large and small, that suggest real concern about the president's attention span and ability to execute on basic policy directives.
But if I'm not correct, Rod Rosenstein's the first one that's been named.
I don't think that's the case. I think Bob Woodward actually named a number of senior administration officials who were alleged to have done things as blunt as pulling draft executive orders off the president's desk in order to thwart his attempts at doing something that was unwise. Let me get to the real point, though, here, Katie, which is that protecting Bob Mueller, the special counsel, and his investigation is what matters most to me. The president may well have grounds for a conversation with Rod Rosenstein. My concern is who would come next, given that the president continues to tweet and to speak in ways that threaten or undermine the independence of the Attorney General, of the Department of Justice, and the reliability with which Bob Mueller may be able to carry out his investigation. I think all of us in the Senate, Republican and Democrat, should be concerned about what would happen if the president were to fire Rosenstein.
So you co-authored a bipartisan bill earlier this year to protect Robert Mueller. Have you spoken to any of the Republicans who have signed on to that bill, maybe Senator Tillis or Senator Graham, about where they stand now and whether or not they're willing to push Mitch McConnell to bring the bill to a floor vote?
Senator Flake gave a floor speech, I think just last week, in which he called on Mitch McConnell to bring this bill up for a vote. I think it's striking that this bill that Senator Tillis and Graham, Senator Booker and I introduced now well over a year ago, when we were told initially when we introduced it, it would never get a hearing. It got a hearing. We were then told it would never get a vote. It got a vote on committee, and it came out of the Judiciary Committee by a strong bipartisan vote of 14-7. It's ready for action on the floor. I have spoken to my co-sponsors in recent weeks. I will be talking to them today or tomorrow because I think this latest development should give all of us more concern about the viability of Robert Mueller's investigation. As Lindsey Graham himself has said, Senator Graham himself has said, it is in President Trump's best interest to have this investigation go all the way through to completion. I think it may uncover more deeply concerning materials or facts about the possibility of collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. Others in the Senate believe it will clear President Trump. Either way, it is the only way the American people can have confidence that this investigation was done thoroughly and completely.
Let's talk about Brett Kavanaugh and Thursday. There's another allegation that has come out against Brett Kavanaugh, this one revealed in The New Yorker, and I'll read a bit from that article. In her initial conversations with The New Yorker, she was reluctant to characterize Kavanaugh's role in the alleged incident with certainty. After 6 days of carefully addressing her memories and consulting with her attorney, Ramirez said that she felt confident enough of her recollections. I think most of our viewers know the story of what she's claiming by now. Kavanaugh has denied it. Do you believe her?
I believe both Dr. Ford and Deborah Ramirez, and I think it's important that the Senate Judiciary Committee show that 27 years after Professor Anita Hill, another Yale Law graduate, came forward with alarming accusations against then Judge Thomas, that we are able to hear them. The question is whether their testimony will be persuasive to those members of the committee and of the Senate who have not yet publicly made a decision about Judge Kavanaugh. I think for us to make that decision as a committee and a Senate, we should have testimony that's informed by experts in how sexual assault and sexual violence impacts memory and a willingness to come forward. And we should have the FBI doing a prompt but thorough further background investigation of both of these allegations.
Are you reviewing other allegations against Kavanaugh right now? Are Senate Democrats aware of anything else?
Well, I can't speak for all Senate Democrats. I can say I myself am not directly aware of additional accusations. Obviously, there have been other rumors. There have been some press reports, but there's nothing else specifically that I know of that I'm expecting to be revealed in the next day or two.
Republicans are now calling this a big conspiracy. They're claiming Democrats are doing anything they can to try and take down Brett Kavanaugh. Mitch McConnell gave a pretty fiery speech on the floor of the Senate today. Let me play a portion of that for you.
Democrats have signaled for months they'd put on whatever performance the far left special interests demanded and throw all the mud they could manufacture. Well, it's not like they didn't warn us. But even by the far left's standards, this shameful smear campaign has hit a new low.
Do you have a response to Senator McConnell?
Certainly. First, the discounting by the majority leader of the allegations brought forward by Dr. Ford and by Deborah Ramirez as a shameful smear campaign is exactly why so many victims of sexual abuse and harassment don't come forward. They don't come forward because they are slighted, slandered, treated with disrespect. In the case of Dr. Ford, she's reported that she and her family have had to move because of both harassment online and death threats. So first, to just dismiss out of hand as a shameful smear campaign these allegations strikes me as not what's appropriate in this setting. Second, if we really were interested in getting to the truth here, both parties would be recognizing that Dr. Ford and Deborah Ramirez have nothing to gain. In fact, by bravely coming forward with these allegations, by volunteering to be interviewed by the FBI, they're putting themselves at legal risk, and they've already suffered some impacts for them and for their families. It is Judge Kavanaugh who is seeking a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court and who I think now bears the burden of disproving these allegations rather than Dr. Ford and Ms. Ramirez, who should be dismissed with slanderous accusations.
I have two more questions I hope to get through really quickly. Michael Avenatti claims he has more victims. Has he reached out to the committee, or have you reached out to Michael Avenatti, anyone on the committee, to find out what he has?
I have not reached out to Michael Avenatti, and if he's got further evidence, he should come forward promptly.
And then the other question is, if Kavanaugh is confirmed, would you move ahead to try and impeach him or investigate him if Democrats retake control of the Senate?
Well, the Senate, as you know, doesn't impeach. It's the House that impeaches, and then the Senate that renders a decision one way or the other. I think it's a question for another day. But I do think the real issue that you're raising here, Katie, is this. If he's confirmed and these allegations are not treated fully and fairly and investigated, then there will be a cloud over Judge Kavanaugh's service on the Supreme Court if he's confirmed.
That's certainly not a no, sir.
That's right. I did not say no.
Just being clear. Senator Chris Coons, thank you very much. And ahead, we've got much more on the Supreme uproar over Brett Kavanaugh.